This is a story about Alex, a 26-year-old guy who thought he'd found his soulmate in Marcus. They'd been together for 3 years, living in their cozy apartment in Brooklyn, planning their future together. Alex was head over heels, completely devoted to this relationship. He'd never felt this way about anyone before. Marcus was his first serious boyfriend, his first real love. But what Alex didn't know was that Marcus had been living a double life for months. While Alex was at work as a graphic designer, Marcus was texting someone else. Someone named Sarah, a woman he'd met at his gym. Marcus had always identified as gay, but suddenly he was questioning everything. He started staying out late, claiming he was working overtime at his marketing job. Alex trusted him completely, never once suspecting the truth. The betrayal started small with deleted text messages and mysterious phone calls. Marcus would step outside to take certain calls, claiming it was work-related. Alex noticed but didn't push because he respected Marcus's privacy. Then came the weekend trips that Marcus claimed were for work conferences. Alex supported his career growth, even though he missed him terribly. The truth was devastating when it finally came out. Marcus wasn't at conferences, he was spending romantic weekends with Sarah. He'd been seeing her for 4 months, telling her he was single, that he'd never had a serious relationship. Sarah had no idea about Alex's existence. The confrontation happened on a Tuesday night in March. Alex had come home early from work, excited to surprise Marcus with his favorite Thai food. Instead, he found Marcus on the phone in their bedroom, whispering sweet nothings to Sarah. Alex stood frozen in the doorway, listening to his boyfriend of 3 years tell another person he loved them. When Marcus turned around and saw Alex, his face went white. The conversation that followed was brutal and heartbreaking. Marcus tried to explain that he was confused about his sexuality, that meeting Sarah had made him realize he might be bisexual. But instead of being honest with Alex, instead of having that difficult conversation, he'd chosen to cheat. He'd chosen to lie for months while Alex planned their future together. Marcus packed his bags that night, choosing Sarah over the man who'd loved him unconditionally. Alex was devastated, crying for weeks, questioning everything about their relationship. He wondered if Marcus had ever truly loved him or if he'd just been an experiment. The revenge wasn't planned, it was pure consequence. 2 months after Marcus left, Alex ran into Sarah at a coffee shop in Manhattan. She was crying, looking absolutely miserable. Alex recognized her from Marcus's social media before he'd blocked him everywhere. Against his better judgment, Alex approached her. What Sarah told him was shocking and somehow satisfying. Marcus had moved in with her immediately after leaving Alex, but he'd been a completely different person. He was moody, distant, and clearly struggling with his identity. Sarah had found Alex's belongings in Marcus's stuff and confronted him about his past. Marcus had finally confessed about Alex, about their 3-year relationship, about the life he'd thrown away. But the worst part for Sarah was discovering that Marcus had been cheating on her too, with men he'd met on dating apps. Marcus couldn't figure out who he was or what he wanted, so he decided to hurt everyone around him. Sarah had kicked him out just 3 days before Alex met her at the coffee shop. Marcus had lost everything. He'd lost Alex, who truly loved him. He'd lost Sarah, who could have been a fresh start. He'd lost his apartment because he couldn't afford it alone. He'd lost his self-respect and his integrity. Alex and Sarah ended up becoming unlikely friends, bonding over their shared experience of Marcus's betrayal. They realized that Marcus's problem wasn't his sexuality, it was his cowardice and selfishness. 6 months later, Alex had moved on with David, a wonderful man who communicated openly and honestly. Sarah had found peace in being single and focusing on her career. Marcus, meanwhile, was living with his parents at 28, jumping between meaningless relationships, unable to commit to anyone or anything. The last Alex heard, Marcus had reached out to him through mutual friends, begging for a chance to explain himself. But Alex had grown stronger, wiser, and more confident in his worth. He'd learned that love without honesty isn't love at all. He'd learned that betrayal says more about the betrayer than the betrayed. Most importantly, he'd learned that sometimes losing someone who doesn't value you is actually winning. This story reminds us that cheating never pays off in the end. Marcus thought he could have everything, but he ended up with nothing. Alex thought he'd lost everything, but he actually gained his self-respect and found real love. Sometimes the universe has a way of balancing things out.